Good afternoon and welcome to my channel. My name's Gavin Boyter, and if you've been following the channel for a while, you'll know how this works. I'm going to read you a 1,000 word story based on 5 random words chosen from an online random text generator. And those words are... And this story, number 46, is called Midnight Shadows. Dave Blackhurst sometimes wondered if he'd been forgotten. He knew the crew were working hard on the reshoots, filming for 14 hours a day, but it would be nice if someone popped in occasionally. Dave was working crazy hours, starting at 10 and rarely stopping before 3 a.m. He'd always been a night owl, but this current schedule was more a matter of necessity than inclination. The Berlin Film Festival had sat on an early cut for months. Now, just 5 weeks before the festival, they'd come back to say they wanted Midnight Shadows for their opening gala. This was fantastic, but also terrible news. The team had to reshoot 13 pages, with Dave recutting the picture, then getting the new scenes graded and sound mixed and delivered within 34 days. Dave had been flown out to Vilnius and set up in a facility called Connect, an ironic choice since, despite Lithuania's generally brilliant connectivity, the Wi-Fi at Connect seemed to be as capricious as the weather. Worse still, a supporting actress, Dame Edna Lowe, had caught COVID-19 during the production, which now moved to a strict post-lockdown protocol, making their Sisyphean task even harder and requiring her part to be recast. This was a terrible shame. David loved cutting Dame Edna's scenes. She was by far the most magnetic on-screen presence, putting Clooney and Blunt to shame. This was fast becoming a heart-sink project, were it not for the magnificent remuneration Dave was receiving. He'd earned enough on this film to see him through to 2021. Dame Edna was so fantastic in the film, a noirish vampire tale set in old Vilnius, that Dave had tried to persuade Marty, as the director insisted everyone call him, not to recast. Dave could cut around her. There were script solutions that would explain her sudden disappearance from the picture. Neither Marty nor Mr. Schrader, no forced informality pertained to the writer apparently, were willing to throw rewrites into their maelstrom of difficulties. Dave couldn't let it go. As well as an official cut, he'd been working on a parallel version, which retained Dame Edna as the historian who knew too much about the Sanguine Society, resulting in her shocking last act murder. Connect was so subterranean that all Dave ever saw was a sliver of light from a strip of glass bricks set into the ceiling. All he could hear was the cooing of pigeons pecking at the scatterings of rice from the registry office steps adjacent to the facility house. Nobody brought him coffee or food unless he called upstairs. His bathroom was en suite. The facility wasn't manned after 10 p.m, but Dave had his own key card and front door key and could stay as long as he liked. There was even a tiny bedroom, which Dave had used twice so far. The glass bricks were filthy, but the dim blue light leaking through them foretold dawn. He'd really overdone it this evening. Dave rubbed his eyes and rolled back the scene he'd just cut one last time. Dame Edna, as Professor Trilling, walks into her library, holding a candle, trying to source the disturbance that has awoken her. Behind her, a pale figure emerges from the shadows, moving with feline grace. It's 10-year-old gymnast Lucina, bitten by Count Vladimir, the leader of the society, a few scenes previously. Trilling spies an open window and feels a chill. She crosses the room to close it, then hears sobbing behind her. Turning, Trilling is startled by Lucina's miserable figure and rushes to embrace her. Lucina places Trilling's ring finger in her mouth and, without warning, as Trilling attempts to soothe the terrified girl, bites down hard. In Schrader's script, the girl retrieves her mother's stolen ring from the severed finger and leaves Trilling in shocked agony. Dave's version hinged on Trilling dropping the candle. Lucina removes the finger from her mouth, extracts the ring and escapes. Dave cut back to the flame catching the hem of Trilling's robe. In the original cut, Trilling throws herself onto a chaise longue, extinguishing the fire. Dave's version cut from the flame catching to a shot from outside the house. A borrowed bit of VFX inserted flame into the window, as Trilling burns to death. A few screams would be ADR'd in place of the borrowed sound he'd kept low in the mix, behind the rain and Lucina's bare feet slapping against the cobbles as she runs away. Dave sat back, his heart pounding, so emotionally tied to the scene that he almost felt the open windows chill and sensed a shadow passing behind him. It would be ridiculous to turn to check he was alone. Dave's hand hovered over the mouse, dragging the alternative cut towards the waste bin. Given that he'd been expressly warned off this version, Dave might be fired if this cut was found. His assistant Fiona was on set, logging rushes. She was a capable editor in her own right and could certainly complete what he'd begun. Dave should definitely delete the clip. How absurd that he could almost feel a frail hand hover over his own, preventing his own ring finger from delivering the downward right click that would consign the alternate cut to oblivion. Even more ridiculous to experience horripilation along his forearm, to hear the breathy tones of Dame Edna mouthing, "Don't," against the back of his neck. Whatever his exhausted mind experienced, Dave did not delete his cut of Midnight Shadows. The following morning, Fiona found the clip and showed it to Marty while Dave was asleep. Contrary to his fears, everyone loved it. In any case, Dame Edna had passed away the previous night. It no longer seemed appropriate to replace her. Dave Blackhurst would publicly attribute his radical recut to the unseen hand of the legendary actress. What he would never reveal is that she had whispered the solution to him at the exact moment of her passing. Her final fade-out, a moment of sublime creativity. The end. So I hope you liked that little ghost story. I enjoyed writing that one. That was fun. You're welcome, as ever, to subscribe, maybe watch another one, share, tell your friends, etc. And I will see you again soon. Bye.